So I'm Mike with the Nav. This is Kenna Deo.
Hi.
Hi. She is a graduate of Vancouver Island University, but not the culinary program. So what have we got going on here?
Right now I just have a little bit of mise en place, and that's just, fancy lingo for getting everything ready to cook. So we're going to be making a shrimp pasta or shrimp fettuccine. I have some nice cherry tomatoes, we have some asparagus, but the base of this recipe is just a pasta. And we make it a little bit fancy for date night by adding some really fresh local ingredients. And you can do whatever you want to with it. If you like mushrooms, add mushrooms. If you don't like mushrooms, don't add mushrooms. If you like bacon, add bacon. If shrimp's not on sale, go for what is. Then we'll have some fresh baked focaccia. And while that's in the oven, we get to start working on our pasta.
So for everyone at home, that recipe will be online at thenav.ca in our article. All right. Okay, so that's in the oven. So what's next?
Next, I want to season up my shrimp and have them marinating in the seasonings, and we can put them back in the fridge while we're chopping everything else up.
Sounds good.
So I have my shrimp. I have peeled, deveined it. You want to take the vein out the back here because that's got their intestine. Exactly. Yeah. And I don't want to eat their intestine. The rest of them delicious, not so much that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on it just to help all of the seasonings adhere to it.
Cool. Okay.
And then I have my favorite seasoning salt, and you can have yours. This one is a little bit spicy. It kind of gives me like those Cajun blackened shrimp vibes. So I have a little bit of that because I don't know how spicy everyone else likes it. And then I have a fish rub as well. This is my favorite for putting salmon on the smoker whenever I'm doing smoked salmon. It has a little bit of that fennel, a little bit of that sumac, which is like kind of a citrusy. Here we are. And then I'm going to take a little bit of those fennel seeds and chili flakes that we put on the focaccia, just kind of bring those flavors together in the pasta.
And that's it.
And that's it, yeah. You could add lemon, you could make it even spicier, you could do just like a paprika is absolutely delicious. So this is what I have. Okay, I think first things first, I'm going to want to get started on my cherry tomatoes and asparagus. So it's really easy. We have them. I'm not even going to cut them in half. You can. I'm going to put them right onto the pan, and then we're going to trim up our asparagus. Asparagus can get really woody at the ends. Okay. So it has like a natural little breaking point where it snaps, and you know that this part's going to be the woodier part. We're coating them a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of this balsamic glaze, and it's going to add a little bit of sweetness to counteract a little bit of tartness and the acidity of the tomato. All right, so this is going to be fine just to chill, and we will be putting in the oven once our focaccia comes out, so we'll put it over here. All right, so I have shallot. Shallot has a flavor similar to mixing onion and garlic. And I find it's really nice for delicate sauces that we're doing when you don't want heavy onion flavor, but you want to develop the layers of flavor in the sauce.
So how did you find cooking on a TV show?
Definitely not more stressful than cooking in my kitchen. Cooking is cooking though, so I kind of ended up zoning out a little bit when I was in there and just focused on the food and what I wanted to eat. Which, considering I was too nervous to eat anything, I was starving. So that helped a little bit. The part that really tripped me up was the time limit. Because when I'm in my kitchen, I take my time. That's kind of my time. And, you know, some people go have a bath, some people go read a book. I'll go bake some brownies if I need some time to myself. And it's a win-win because my kids know if they leave me alone long enough, I'm going to come back with snacks. I'm going to be chopping up some garlic too. Garlic I measure with my heart, and my heart says extra garlic all the time, but you do what you like. For this recipe, I have 4 large cloves. This is Italian flat leaf parsley. I find it has a smoother flavor than the more grass-like herbaceousness of the regular parsley. And in fact, because fresh herbs are so expensive these days, dried herbs are just fine. We're doing this for show. At home, I have my dried parsley, and I'm really quite attached to it. We need some lemon zest, and we need to get the cheese going.
So if you were giving advice on what you think people should have in their pantry, if you were picking a couple of spices you would have to have.
Okay, so my trifecta of seasonings for anything that I'm doing are going to be onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika. That's my base seasoning for just about almost everything. Gets onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika.
Okay.
So definitely have that. And there is such an incredible thing to have any dried herb spices in your pantry because they are so cheap, and that is, like you said, where all the flavor comes from. So you can do so much with that. So this, we have fresh Parmesan cheese that I'm grating right now, but you could just as easily use the powdered stuff, whatever you have on hand. If you don't have Parm, you have a different cheese that you prefer. Any sharp, any older cheese is going to be just fine. So the oven's set to 425. I'm going to put that in there, and that's going to be about 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, so I have everything ready to go for us to start doing this. We have our shrimp here out of the fridge. And for these, by the time you've got the last one in, you'll be ready to take the first one back out. If I can just get the one side seared, they're gonna finish cooking in the sauce. All right, and what we did that little step for is all these little bits that are stuck to the pan here. It's called the fond, and that's gonna come off into the sauce, which is exactly what we want. We're gonna take our onion and our garlic, and we're gonna glaze the pan with that.
So I've been told the fond is where the flavor lives.
The fond is where the flavor lives, exactly. Very fond of the fond. And I have just, a little bit of butter. But we're just lightly sauteing these, more like sweating. We're not even trying to get any color on them. We don't want them to be brown. We just want them to turn translucent and soften a little bit. And then we get all those little bits of shrimp that have stuck to the pan off. So we have some spinach going in. I took the stems off and I just gave it a rough chop. Now that is about 2 cups of spinach, but you watch and it's going to cook down to about 2 tablespoons. Now that we have some liquid in there, we're turning up the heat to help that reduce down. We don't have to worry about anything burning, simmering and evaporating away here. Almost have it to the point that we want it.
It's amazing how much richer the color of that spinach gets.
Yeah. And if you go too long, then it loses that bright green flavor. So we're trying to have everything done quickly here. Let's check what we have in the oven and see how our asparagus and cherry tomatoes are doing, if that's okay. Oh, beautiful.
They're starting to blister.
Absolutely beautiful. So these tops have a little crispiness to them, and these have just burst open, and the balsamic glaze on them has, in fact, glazed. So we waited till the clam nectar had just about reduced to its own little sauce. I like to use heavy cream instead of like half and half because it works really well with lemon and acid. So when I throw those cherry tomatoes in there and a little bit of lemon, half and half or milk, it would curdle, whereas heavy cream doesn't curdle as easily. I'm gonna turn this down now that we added our cream. And we're gonna put our shrimp back in. You see they haven't turned all the way pink, so you know they're not all the way cooked yet. So it's their time to shine now. Noodles we want to be definitely al dente, maybe even a little bit more because we're going to finish it in the sauce. And we're going to add the noodles right into this too. I'm going to bring them over here and I'm going to put them right into the sauce. You can keep your asparagus and your tomatoes on the side and they're really lovely, but I'm actually going to toss it right into the sauce because I love the flavor that you get from the tomatoes in that sauce, as well as that little bit of balsamic that we tossed everything. It gives it that little pop. Some parsley. We have our Parmesan cheese. That's all what you like and what the person that you were cooking for on this date night likes as well.
So yeah, we have our date night meal there.
So we made the fettuccine with the shrimp, and we have roasted asparagus and cherry tomatoes. We finished it with some parsley and some Parmesan cheese. Your warm focaccia bread is there. I like to add a little bit of butter, but a little bit for me is probably not a little bit for everybody else. And bon appetit.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And just like any other date night, I'm going to get out of here before I have to clean.
Sounds good.
Okay.